back at it again. Had to do the mom thing for a minute there. So this was the poster, right here that, was in, Eloise's room. So right off the bat, Eloise loves the 60s. She loves Breakfast at Tiffany's. If you know anything about this movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never seen this movie before, go watch it right now. You are going to freaking love it. And if you don't, you're probably never going to hear or see from me ever again. No, I'm playing. But anyways, so, she's dancing around. Eloise is dancing around. You're getting these 1960s vibe, Girl Meets World vibe. But then it shifts. Because then, you see, this picture of Eloise with her mom. And, well, let's just say this. Okay, so Eloise can, see ghosts. So she sees the ghost of her mom and the reflection of her mirror. And, she's like fine with it. Like, she's not creeped out by her or anything. She's used to it. Find out later her mom died when she was 7, killed herself because her mom was schizophrenic. So Eloise lives with her grandmother. This is her, no, that's not her gram. Oh, wait. That's somebody else. Sorry. So, anyway, she lives with her grandma. This is her grandma right here, Peggy Turner. So, Eloise lives with her grandma. Her grandma, has raised her since she was 7 years old. Probably before that, even considering her mom having, schizophrenia. So, her grandma's like, are you okay? How are you doing? Eloise says fine. She's like, okay, the mail came in. Eloise opens a letter. It's from a fashion school. She wants to be a fashion designer. She got accepted into the school of fashion in London. She's very excited to be leaving home. But, her grandma is worried about her because, of her own daughter, having issues and dealing with stresses in life and blah, blah, blah. So, she's naturally concerned for her granddaughter. Eloise says, don't worry, I'm going to be fine. Okay? Now, we're not in the 1960s. This movie does not take place in the 1960s. Okay? There are cell phones. It's in this 21st century. But, however, it doesn't give off that vibe right away. So, it can be a little misleading. But, anyways, so the whole movie, basically, I'll just come out and say it. The whole movie is very misleading, okay? There's so much going on, and it was hard to really piece together because it comes across as Girl Meets World, lighthearted comedy, right? But no, it's apparently a horror drama. Okay, well, what's the drama? Okay, well, the drama is that, Eloise sees ghosts. Okay, well, that's not really drama to me. I'm sorry, but, that's just, sometimes that's the way things happen in life. Doesn't mean it's dramatic. It could be just comedic. Thing is, the real horror, this is where the horror part comes in, is that this is Girl Meets World and the horrible reality of what it's like to be a woman in the 21st century and how it was horrible back in the 1960s. Okay? And how it's still horrible today. That is the horror that this movie is trying to show to you, depict to you, okay? But that's, you really have to be a movie fan, a really read between the lines, in between the lines type of person to really understand that, because at first glance this is not at all what this movie seems, and I'll tell you why. So in the trailer, okay, this is the official trailer, not the music video version, which is the first thing I saw, giving me the impression this was going to be a fun, cool movie with lots of music and dancing, but no, not at all. Okay, so I thought she was the main character, okay? I thought she was the main character, and he was the main character, and this girl with the eyes, possibly the main character. But I'm going to turn off the sound just so I don't have to talk over it. So I definitely thought that. But no, apparently, so this guy, oh, God damn, hold on. Okay, so this guy This guy, he is not a main character, okay? He is the villain of the story, okay? But he's like a side character, a villain, okay? I don't even know how, like, or why, but that's just how it goes, okay? So, he's a villain. So, this guy right here, Matt Smith, they don't even have his, like, character name under his real name here, okay? But anyways, so he is him, okay? So this old guy, Eloise meets this old guy who's mad creepy, okay? And he's creeping up on her all the time. And she's also going to bed at night and having dreams of this guy falling in love with this girl, okay? So it's very confusing because I'm like, okay, who is this guy? Who is this girl, right? So, anyways, he's not even a main character. Now, as for this woman here, Miss Collins, I'll show you her part in the trailer in just a second. So there's Eloise going to London, okay? She's in a cab, right? Then the cab driver starts talking to her like, oh, what are you doing here? She says, I'm studying London College of Fashion. And he's like, oh, that's very interesting. As a model, he says, are you a model? And he says it very super creepily. And they don't show you this in the trailer, which throws you off. But basically, he, like, creeps on her. And she's, like, creeped out by it. And she's wearing a dress that she made with black, like, lacy stockings, and she immediately gets self-conscious and immediately like covers up her leg with a dress because she sees him through the mirror, the rear view mirror in the car, like staring back at her legs. And it's super fucking creepy, and it gives this whole movie creep vibes. I mean, yes, as a woman, yes. Have I been a victim of this creepiness? Yes. Does that probably explain why there's so many sexual harassment and assault lawsuits out there for like Ubers and all that? Yes, it really does. So she's in the cab, he creeps on her, this like gets her like creeped out, so she tells him, please let me out here, I'll just walk the rest of the way. But they don't show you that in the trailer, so it's kind of a little misleading. Okay, there she is. This figure right here. Okay. You only get to see her for like a second. Boom. Okay, so this old lady figure right here with the glasses is actually a main character. Okay, she is actually her, Sandy. Okay, so Anya plays Sandy. Okay, who is the main character, and I guess 50 odd, 60 odd years later, something like that. Whatever. She becomes this woman here, played by Diana Rigg, as Miss Collins. She goes by Miss Collins. Okay. So funny because my husband's name is Daniel Collins. Anyways, so no relation. So she has a room for rent in her house, and the reason why Eloise ends up meeting her and renting the room is because at first, when Eloise is in London, she has a plan to live in one of the dorms because it's not so much money, and I'm guessing like based off the fact she doesn't have a mom and a dad, her dad is nowhere to be seen or heard of. And her mom died, unfortunately. She lives with her grandma. Her grandma's not that well off, you know, and so money is tight. So she's living in the dorm room to save money. And she meets this other character who happens to be a very main character. Her name is Jocasta. And Jocasta is another student at the fashion design school who also, like, unfortunately, her mom also died. And so they both don't have moms, so they're both orphans. You know, I think that plays on that archetype, Carl Jung's archetype of the orphan. But like, she is very competitive, and she is like she wants to be the it girl. Like, she wants to be Miss Popular, which she is Miss Popular. Like, she's not a loner. Like, she always has her posse around and stuff like that. But she's always kind of, like, poking fun at Eloise and making fun of her and, like, peer pressuring her and stuff like that. And so Eloise gets sick of it, so she decides to look for another place to live. And she ends up renting a room from Miss Collins. And so she goes to live with Miss Collins. And oh, by the way, so after she gets off the cab, right, she's walking to her dorm room, and it's nighttime, and this guy, he's a main character as well, Michael Ohio, I think that's how you say it. Anyways, okay, so his character's name is John, and he's standing outside the dorm rooms by the stairs, and he sees that Eloise is struggling with her luggage, and he, like, offers to, like, give her a helping hand, but she's already creeped out by the guy that was creeping on her, so in her mind, she, like, doesn't have anything to do with guys right now, like, she's already too, like, creeped out by everything, so she just wants to get into her room, so she says, no, I'm fine. Later on, John actually happens to be another fashion student at the school, and he befriends Eloise. He finally, you know, gets Eloise to, like, warm up to him. You know, he offers her a helping hand, and they become boyfriend and girlfriend. But anyways, so Eloise moves out of the dorm because she's sick of getting, like, bullied, basically, by Jocasta. So she goes to live with Miss Collins. And Miss Collins lets her stay in this room. She loves it. You know, she's used to, like, her alone room, living with her grandma, so it's very much more home for her. She plays her music, she goes to sleep, and she wakes up in this dream fantasy world where she's looking through the eyes of Sandy, who is the younger version of Miss Collins. And she's waking up, and she's in the 1960s, her favorite time period. She goes into Café de Paris. Okay, she sees herself as this woman here, Sandy. And she does this little tap on the mirror. She's having a good old time. She sees this hot guy. So Sandy is at this Café de Paris, which is basically a nightclub. I don't know why they call it a cafe. Like, it's not a cafe. It's a nightclub. But I guess, you know, it's cool. So, and she wants to be a singer. So she goes up to the manager to tell him that she wants to be a singer. And he's, you know, he's like, oh, this is a beautiful woman. Let me dance with her. Okay, so the trailer leaves out the whole entire dream sequence, which is fine because that, you know, it is a trailer and everything. You can't put the whole movie in the trailer, but it's very misleading, okay? Because hold on a second, sweetie. So I'm gonna have to pause this, but so yeah. So it's very misleading because it leaves out some very key elements in the story.